everyone, and welcome to AC Spotlight. I'm Mike, and joining me today is Austin, the GM of Stories Told Again. Hey, Austin.
Hey, Mike.
I'm really excited to have you here to learn about the production you've been making here. Quick question. When it comes to productions, obviously, for actual plays, do you prefer music tracks or ambience?
You know, we use a mixture of both on my show. We also have our own composer in-house. I think it depends on the situation. I've had people in like a fantasy Dave and Buster's before and been able to put like crazy crowd behind it, and that's really worked. But there's nothing like having your own composed piece that fits so perfectly into a scene.
I'm going to hold on to, it's good, great answer, but I'm also going to hold on to the fantasy Dave and Buster. That's going to be put to the side. Expect that question to come.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, do you mind telling us a little bit more detail about Stories Told Again?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the producer and head GM of a new podcast called Stories Told Again. We've been around for about a year now. It's right now the main story of our campaign is called Redrawn, and it's for people that have sort of been outside on the fringes of society, trying to find the place where they can actually survive in a world where basically the bad guy won centuries before they were even born. And as the story progresses, it's very much a point of them figuring out their own way of actually like affecting the world in a positive way and having that sense of empowerment, all at the same time dealing with tarot card madness, a possum in a hat, again a fantasy Dave and Buster's, evil crabs, a racist clown, and at least one demon who uses a bread bowl as a weapon.
Okay, you threw a lot. That's incredible. Is this set in sort of like your standard fantasy D&D experience, or is this something told on a different system?
This is told through 5e, but we do have a couple of different stories going on at a time, using different systems such as Candela Obscura, including a upcoming one using an entirely new system called Wayfinder, developed by Austin Hartel.
Wow, incredible. So yeah, you're dabbling into more than just sort of the standard, what we'd expect for most tables, but you're kind of going through sort of more unknown systems, which is always good. Indie systems need more attention. I agree on that. So you've introduced a few interesting concepts in this world. I mean, what drove you to build? It feels like it feels like a bit of a deviation, something maybe more unique than what someone would expect from a standard like D&D podcast. Was there a drive to tell such a story?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to create something that felt both authentic to me and to my dear friends that I play at the table with. Most of the world building came from each of them. I one of the things that I'm very, very proud of is that I think it took maybe like 8 or 9 episodes of my show before we had an NPC that I created that wasn't an active part of the character's backstory. And that sort of collaboration, it ended up with this completely insane world that feels very, very close to our own in a lot of ways, but still does have that sort of fantasy spin on it.
I love that. That's also great tips for anyone who wants to jump into the GM seat, is allow your players to build the world alongside you. I think it's a very good sort of habit to have when starting with session 0 and beyond. Speaking, because you mentioned your players a few times, how did you meet your players?
I met them through a couple of different places. Let's see, Tiffany Liu-Vaprinsky, who plays Liv on my show, our Oathbreaker Paladin. We actually met through work. In my day-to-day job, I am actually a orthopedic scientist at Boston Children's Hospital, and we had a lab D&D game that we were able to just sort of develop into a lifelong friendship, and eventually this show. Rain Eldridge, who plays Vox Umbra, our resident artificer / cowboy. We actually met in a college acting class. We played cowboys doing Seinfeld impressions, and we've been friends ever since. Rounding out my show is Jeff Barry and Took, I guess, both of which I am really, really honored to have met through a recommendation of Unbalanced Encounters, Emily Graymore.
Oh,
So
incredible.
yeah, I got to meet all of them either just through the community of like acting or just creativity, and it blossomed out from there.
It's this interesting concept I've sort of come to recognize with TTRPGs and actual plays specifically, is because there is a level of enjoyment and work and kind of this comfortability with tabletop, which obviously you're building your entire world. There's obviously, I could tell just with our short time meeting that you have this sort of love towards the game. But there is this added layer of creation that kind of goes on, and that is sort of the idea of content creation, sort of building your podcast, building your actual play. There are people who do live streams, people who do edited content. For you yourself, was there always maybe a small interest in content creation, or did it just start to blossom the moment like tabletop started to become more of a staple in your life?
Well, this isn't actually my first show. My first project that I was on was called Found Familiars. I played a character named Tome the Robot, and that was just sort of, I really wanted to tell this story with this character, and I ended up wanting to basically just have a bigger audience because I thought that the story deserved that. And a similar thing happened with Stories Told Again. I just felt that there were more stories to be had. That I wanted to. I think a good way to put it is I talk about D&D tables as if they are like the world's smallest fandom. Every single person at the table is usually both a fan and a creator within the same story and the same project, and we still get the same things. Cosplay, people have dressed up as their characters for a long time, fan art, that kind of thing, and building a community around actual play. I just see that as sort of an enhancement of the overall tabletop experience just by making the table a little bit larger.
You mentioned a few times, or at least you mentioned it once, that you met some of your players in real life, something that you've had your own sort of house tables and sort of running it there. Was Stories Told Again, did that graduate from a house game or a home game, or was it always meant to be a production?
Stories Told Again was always meant to be a production. It came from people that I already knew just from speaking to them or playing with them previously. It was either through like a theatrical perspective of just knowing that these are people that I really enjoy their brains and how they tell stories, or talking about just like the overall philosophy of gaming. I remember when I first met Jeff Barry, we had this really, really wonderful like hour-long conversation just about like the responsibility of safety and communication at the table. Before that was even done, I knew I wanted him on my team.
That's incredible. Yeah, it's nice that there is always cohesiveness when you meet other players who kind of believe in kind of the same storytelling methods, or at least the same ideals of like table safety in mind, and sort of the importance of storytelling as a whole. So it's really cool that you met people like that and who are able to stick around and make this content with you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, there's this interesting thing when it comes to actual plays. I met a lot of GMs, and most of when it comes to us telling a story to both entertain the players, we're also trying to entertain the audience. So there's this idea that when we're telling a story, the rules themselves in tabletop, whether it's Dungeons & Dragons, Blades in the Dark, or what have you, it's generally flexible. And most GMs I met are kind of rules of cool. Am I out of line to assume that you're also a bit of a rules of cool GM?
Oh, you couldn't agree more. I love Rule of Cool so much.
Yeah. With that in mind, due to the flexibility of that ideal, that we're willing to bend a little bit just to make things a little bit more interesting and more fun, is there a rule at your table that is written in stone?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I think the one thing is when it comes to critical hits, I normally allow my players to reroll ones. The ability for something that is supposed to feel like epic and powerful and then rolling like 8 ones in a row is gotta be one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen. we've also definitely homebrewed quite a bit in terms of like items and like monster generation. I mean, like the very first act of my show, one of the main villains was 2 million coconut crabs.
Okay. We transparency to you, audience. Me and Austin just met. We're getting to know each other right now. This is what this whole process is all about. I need to stop this and look up Stories Untold and really give it a deep dive because all right, this is the perfect time to interject it. What could I order at Fantasy Dave and Buster's? What is on the menu?
So it's not Dave and Buster's. It is Davin's Buster, and it's a number of games that are powered by different forms of illusory script. You can get any sort of like the typical like bar food fare that you would get at its more real world counterpart. I think one of my characters ended up saying that the jalapeno poppers are really good.
Oh, they always are. Oh, absolutely. Do you find that the way that you're sort of describing the story, and the amount of, I mean, I don't know how to describe it other than chaotic, like this unique blend of spices into this world. Is this more of a serious story? I feels like it's more maybe comedic or at least more entertaining. Is it blend of both?
It's definitely a blend of both. A lot of the overall crux of the characters is normally based around some sort of like isolation or like trauma based in their lives. And the story itself, as it plays out, is them sort of reaching a catharsis when it comes to this and being able to heal. And with that, there are very significant dramatic moments. I've had several people say that they've cried, especially at I think 2 episodes ago. The last half hour had a number of people on their seats just from like the dramatic nature of it all. But it's always good to be able to balance the levity of it all. You don't want your players to feel so terrible they don't want to keep going, so you crack a joke. But also, you still want there to be stakes, and finding the balance of that is one of the really, really fun parts of being a game master. And I've noticed, especially like as a player and as a GM, that a lot of people have this sort of like 1 to 10, where 1 is Monty Python's Holy Grail and then 10 is Lord of the Rings. I have never heard of a single table that isn't between like 4 and 7, like 4 and 6.
That's fair, yeah. I think there's also something to be said, the fact that the theming of Stories Told Again is very much of like these isolationists, the people who have been hurt and are looking to heal. And levity definitely is a healing factor. So the fact that you're introducing these really kind of very creative and very humorous ideas, like, you know, Fantasy Dave and Buster's, how could you not laugh at this? I think honestly does bring home, like, even in this moment of probably like this dire concern or you know, sort of this, I would imagine with the villains winning, very like a almost post-apocalyptic kind of, that people can kind of come together and still have some jalapeno poppers.
I couldn't agree more.
You've talked a few about this a bit, and I'm really curious now, is that you sound very comfortable in the GM seat. And my question to you is, did you graduate from the player seat, or did you dive head first into the GM seat right away?
Oh yeah, I originally started playing Call of Cthulhu when I was around 18 years old, and I was actually a player for almost 7 years. I only started GMing, I think it was like maybe 4 years ago now, and ever since then I've sort of been a forever GM, and honestly, I really like it. I really enjoy it.
I've described this a few times, and maybe you concur, but I agree that it's really fun to be a GM, mainly because I classify myself and most other GMs like this as emotional vampires. We love, I mean, maybe it's just me, but I love just ingesting the table's emotions at times, where if they're supposed to be mad at a BBG and they're all mad, I'm like, oh yeah, more please. Or, you know, like you mentioned before, like someone crying, we never intend to make people cry, but we intend to make you feel something. And that itself is good to just, sometimes you just want to ingest it.
Oh yeah, especially like when you're creating something that is not just made for your players but also for an audience. If you're able to like surprise and shock the people at the table, you know that you're going to surprise and shock the people who are listening to it, like as
Yeah.
like they're doing dishes and thing and stuff like that. Like, let me give you an example. There was this moment a couple episodes ago that was released where it was revealed that one of the big villains knew much more about a character's backstory than they actually could. This is something that we talked about previously at the table about like the small details of it all, but watching the pieces come together in the player's face and in my player's voice was so wonderful because it became not just a story that we were telling together, but it became part of it was something I got to tell to them.
Yeah.
And that level of shock and being like, there's no way that this could be anything else, made me feel like I did a really good job. And it also is something that I think that my audience has really enjoyed as well. It's one of the most talked about moments of my show so far.
That's incredible. Usually I ask what moment sticks with you, so that's really good to know that, you know, there's this moment that has sort of never left your brain. Again, we're emotional vampires. We love it. It's fun to have.
Oh yeah. A friend of mine introduced me to the concept of knife blocks the other day. Apparently it's stuff that you put in your backstory for the explicit purpose of your GM like hurting your character with.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we are a little emotional vampires, but I think it's also like people demand to be fed upon in a way as well.
I can, if one of my players is watching, and I'm not going to call them out, they know who they are. They constantly, it's that very playful of like, uh-oh, GM, out of table, I'm making fun of you. What are you going to do to my character? And it's very silly and playful, but it is very much of like players going, what else could you bring to me? Like what else, what part of the roller coaster are you going to take me on now? You know, are you leading me up to something and you're going to drop me? I don't know. You've had this experience, and you mentioned before you were doing Call of Cthulhu for 7 years. Were a player at a table and kind of jumped into the GM seat and did it for a while, and you're now doing it for production. Out of all the games you played, have you settled, or do you have a preference on how long session lengths should be?
My show, we usually try to record 2 episodes at a time, so it usually ends up being about 3 to 4 hours. But we also did just have like a first mega session where we recorded 3 episodes in one.
Whoa.
And that was, I think, from 3 p.m. to like 10, and that was pretty great. So,
okay. So like in maybe 2 hours or something is kind of like with the sweet spot per session.
I'd say.
Okay. That's fair. Depending on the party size, that gives everyone a chance to have a moment to shine, or a moment to talk, and a moment to engage with the story, and still able to move the story along to a certain point, which I think is really nice.
I'd also say that that's the ideal length for a one-shot, especially.
No, that's fair. Yeah, get everything out. I mean, it's supposed to be a bite-sized story, so it fits well. If you don't mind, do you mind walking me through the process and prep work it goes through? Well, you have to go through to release one episode of Stories Told Again.
I'm very lucky. Every one of my show pulls double duty. So, for example, Rain Eldridge, who plays Vox, is also our lead editor. We also have mastering in composition done by Tiffany Lee Verprinsky. Every aspect of our show is done in one way or another. It usually takes about 2 weeks to undergo the editing and everything. Compositions we oftentimes like reuse. Like each of our characters has their own theme as well as a main theme for the BBEG. But when it comes to like recording and everything, it's usually like a 2 hour stint.
Yeah, incredible. You mentioned that you were trying to introduce, or you have been introducing, other systems other than obviously D&D. Even so much for going to sort of these really indie systems that I'd never heard of the ones you introduced. Do you have a preference of like what your favorite indie system is beyond D&D?
Mm. I definitely have a few that I definitely like go towards if I want to introduce people to something. Power by the Apocalypse is a great thing just to sort of like explain the whole you roll dice, something good happens, something bad happens.
Mm.
Because everyone has seen a Monster of the Week kind of show or something that plays off of that system. There's so many genres. Um, let's see. There's also this one game that I played that I feel like I could play with literally anybody. It was actually created by Jeff Barry, who plays Pastiche on our show, and that was Do or Do Not, which is it's a tabletop game that's literally the size of a playing card, and it's you say that you were trying to accomplish like a major goal, breaking it down into as small steps as possible, and flipping a coin to see if you're able to do so.
Oh.
Like, for example, we had this we have this bonus episode that we haven't released yet, but the whole concept of it was mowing our lawn. So it was like going into the garage, getting all of our getting the lawnmower, pouring the gasoline, and starting it, and somehow in the span of I think like 45 minutes, it ended up instead being that we summoned 86 goats that were magically rampaging through suburbia, destroying everyone's lawns locust style. And there was a roving band of dads on lawnmowers who were fighting them and attacking them to save their lawns.
Dude, your tables sound wild. I have to
Thank
see
you.
this. No,
Uh,
yeah, I mean 100% as a compliment.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, we definitely go much wilder with our non like main story stories. Like our next arc, our next campaign that we're doing is a 5 episode miniseries. This is so strange. Have you ever heard of the Waffle House Disaster Index?
I want to say yes. Actually, that does sound familiar. Do you mind,
Okay.
just for anyone who else just to remind me too, do you mind
Yeah,
explaining?
yeah. Okay, so Waffle House. It's the diner chain that exists everywhere except New England, which I'm really sad about because I live in Boston. Uh, uh, if they never ever close. They're 24 hours.
Yeah.
They work on Christmas. They never ever close. If they close, it means something really bad is happening. So FEMA uses Waffle Houses to determine how much aid they're going to send to places during natural disasters based off of the number of ones that are closed. I evolved that idea, and our next campaign is keeping the last diner open during the apocalypse.
Oh, that sounds so cool. Oh, that's such a
It's
cool idea.
Thank you. It's really great so far. I'm really enjoying it, and
Uh,
it's done in Wayfinder, which is the
oh.
new system as well. It's map making, so we get to just discover what the apocalypse looks like together. It's really great.
Uh, there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of creativity when it comes to your table and what you're building here for Stories Told Again. Um,
Thank you.
there's this added layer of stress I think we all experience, especially when we're doing production, because it is very much session prep, making sure that the just sort of surface level, the players are feeling engaged, that we ourselves are feeling okay, and then of course then there's that extra layer of descriptions and thumbnails and upload speeds. Was there an error in the audio recording or some of those lines? Is what, in your personal opinion, what do you think the hardest thing is about running an actual play?
Hmm. I definitely hear upload speeds is like a pretty big issue. I don't know if there's video to this, but I'm currently inside a sound booth that is actually like it's entirely covered in foil on the inside, just because like of the way that we built it ourselves. But it's now also a gigantic Faraday cage. So my internet speed is non-existent when I'm in here. That for the production side, but I think like the gameplay side, I've noticed a lot of issues just in terms of scheduling, but I feel like that's every table.
Oh yeah, the dreaded BBG of scheduling, 100%.
Mm.
Well, you've given us a lot to ingest now when it comes to the stories you brought us to the internet. So thank you so much, Austin, for joining me today, and for sharing your stories, not just with me, but with the entire world at large. Do you mind telling people where they can find Stories Told Again?
Yeah, you guys, thank you so much. You're able to find Stories Told Again basically anywhere that you get your podcasts. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, Podbean, iHeartRadio, a couple others that are currently escaping me. We're also on Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok. Just search Stories Told Again, and we are the first people to pop up. Yeah.
Incredible. Well, until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye.